Welcome back to Season 5 of the Changing Earth podcast with Sara F. Hathaway, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 193, Season 5, Episode 30. So things really get rolling at this point in the books, and The Endless Night is coming out in June, so I can't wait to share that story with you. And I've got a great show for you today. A little bit of craziness going on in my book, and then I have author Ron Foster with us today, and he's going to share some of his stories with us, which is he was a really cool guy to meet, and just an honor to get to meet him and have him on the show finally, so I can't wait to showcase him for you later. Last week, I didn't get to talk to you about the preparedness experience because I pre-recorded that episode, but I just want to let you know the preparedness experience was 100% worth the time and effort to get out to Vegas and make it happen. The first day, we did a Stop the Bleed class, and they actually did a simulation of an active shooter scenario. Really neat stuff. And then the next 2 days were jam-packed with tons of information. And I was actually one of the presenters at that show. So I have a whole series of the self-defense class that I taught over on my website. You can go check that out. And I'll be slowly releasing those out to YouTube. But just a very rewarding, awesome experience. So many really great people down there. And it was just an honor to get to know everybody and make a lot of new friends and learn a ton of information. So I really encourage you next year, get out there and make that happen. It was definitely worth the time. I also, like I mentioned, I have that self-defense series over on my website, so you can go check out the class that I taught. But I also have a couple of extra videos for my supporters. That is for supporters only. So if you're a Changing Earth supporter, go over and check out your member page. I got some uploads down there from the self-defense class that is just for my supporters. I section those out and have those for you over there. If you'd like to become a supporter, you can do so by heading over to my website, www.authorSaraFhathaway.com/support, and get hooked up, become a supporter, and you get access to all that, the member bonuses, audio clips, books, stuff like that. So definitely make it worth your while. Try to give you lots of content and value over there. So prepping wise, what's going on? Well, spring is breaking here in California. It comes a little bit earlier than everywhere else, and I'm getting the garden ready to go. Got all that in line and ready to plant. We have a little bit of cold and rain coming through this week, so I hesitated to put my seeds in. I'll probably do that this weekend. And then, of course, training. I'm doing the sports jiu-jitsu now. Great self-defense classes, and I try not to record while I'm bruised. So that's always a challenge, but today, you're in luck. I'm not all bruised up. So last week in Dark Days in Denver, we caught up with Vince as he woke up from being shot, and he heads out to the homesteads. This week, we're going to follow Erica as she is just subjected to this torment from TJ Swenson. And so it's really about her survival story today. And then I have Ron Foster on to share his survival stories with you as well. So great show. Stay tuned, and without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chapter 30 of Dark Days in Denver. Chapter 30. What do you mean it won't start? Erica heard the commander ask Bishop. She sat in a half-conscious state. The pain from Swenson's whip and the lashes on her back burned. She knew that there were other injuries she sustained in her last attempt at escape, but she couldn't worry about that now. It's toast, sir. Even with the modifications. The ash still clogged it up, Bishop told him, looking in the window of the SUV. He was wiping the ash and oil off his hands with a rag. Commander Gray turned back to Merkley. What the hell is this, Merkley? I'm sorry, sir. The scientist assured me it would work, he stammered. It did. For a while. Looks like we're hoofing it now, boys, Commander Gray announced, getting out of the vehicle and slamming the door. Get the girl and the gear out. You want her mask on, boss? Swenson asked. I think we're all good now, Commander Gray responded. Swenson pulled Erica out like she was a rag doll. Bishop, you better take a look at the girlie. Erica didn't have the will to move. She just slumped into a blob on the ground. "Stand her up," Bishop requested as he came over. Her legs doing little more than dangling, Serge and Swenson held her in the air. "Lift her shirt up," Bishop told him. "With pleasure," Swenson said, pulling up the front of her shirt. "In the back, jerk off," Bishop corrected. "I might have to later now," Swenson teased, holding up the back of her shirt. Serge laughed at his joke and high-fived him. They continued to talk, but Erica didn't hear their words. Bishop poured antiseptic that burned like the fires of hell, and she never reacted. "I'll just kill myself," Erica thought. "But what about Dexter?" she reminded herself. "I do have to admit, TJ, that's a pretty good tea. I almost think you could do it in cursive," Bishop commented, coating the tea with gauze. "I could always try again," he said excitedly. "No, you cannot. The general said pure and unbroken." "You already did enough," Commander Gray reprimanded him. "Aw, come on, Carl. You know this girlie is going to earn a J eventually," he teased. "Not now," the commander told him. "But we are going to need a chain." "I got it," Merkley said, exiting the back of the SUV. "Here, drink this," Bishop said flatly to Erica. He pressed a canteen to her mouth and tilted it back. The water hit her lips, and although she welcomed death, her body reacted, and she drank the rehydrating liquid. Swenson approached and wrapped the chain around her waist so that it rubbed tightly against the mark he made with the whip. He watched Erica grimace despite her best efforts as he cinched it down. "There we go. Nice and comfy," he hissed in her ear while he pulled. She could smell his sickening breath assaulting her nostrils. "Where we at, boss?" Serge asked. "We're almost to Texas. We'll start heading southeast when we cross the border. This is all trader territory, so if we see anyone, she gets a hood. You got that, Swenson?" Commander Gray asked. "How did I get babysitting duty?" he asked, grabbing the last of the gear from the SUV. "You marked your territory, right? Well, now you get to babysit," Commander Gray told him. "That's okay. You just walk right out in front of me. And if I see that behind move one direction other than the direction we're headed, there's going to be a tiny little T on your butt cheek, too. Isn't that right, Sheila?" he asked the whip. Erica shuffled to her place as she was told. Somehow her feet moved forward. She wanted everything to cease, but she kept moving. "That would be epic, brother," Serge told Swenson. "Right? A little T on the left side and a J on the right? I'll have to try that next time," Swenson said sadistically. "Here, hold this," Swenson told Serge, passing him the end of Erica's chain. Erica walked for miles in front of Swenson while he played with his whip behind her. Crack, crack, crack. The noise drove her forward. "Come on, girlie, you're slowing down your shuffle," Swenson teased, cracking the whip so close to her ear it cut the top of it. Spinning around, Erica snapped. "I could walk faster if my feet weren't tied together." She was exhausted by his constant badgering. "Turn around," Swenson directed. "Nobody told you to stop walking." He snapped the whip next to her head. She glared at him but turned as he told her to do. "We've walked for 8 hours straight," Merkley whined. "We need a break." The men looked at him, pondering his suggestion. "If we stop and eat now, we can do another 8 before we sleep," the commander suggested to Swenson and Serge. "Check it out. Rest stop 3 miles ahead," Serge said, pointing to the sign. "Yeah, mule. Over to the rest stop," Serge said, shaking the chain on Erica's waist up and down while Swenson cracked the whip next to her head. Every time it cracked, Erica blinked. She was growing more tired and irritated as the moments progressed. The zip ties on her ankles were cutting into her skin, and the pain intensified with each step she took. "I can't go 3 more miles at this speed with these things on," Erica said, never turning around or stopping. "Stop," Swenson told her. He rolled his whip up and put it back in its holster. Then he approached her, stepping out in front of her. "What did you say?" "I can't go 3 more miles at this speed with these things on," Erica repeated. "You earned those, remember? They're your trophy, to be worn with pride," he explained in her ear as he circled around her. 2 more links," Erica requested. He looked at her and chuckled, impressed by her tenacity. "If I give you 2 more links, what are you going to give me?" he asked as he breathed down her neck. "Less time getting to the rest stop," she replied. Swenson chuckled at her remark. You're so lucky you're going to the Supreme General. I usually get to have so much more fun with the female bounties I retrieve. See, that's why Commander Gray is here, to make sure you get back to the Supreme General in one piece. But mark my words, the General always loses interest in his toys. And then they go to the men. When that day comes, he paused for a moment, rubbing his hands together. Oh, I can't wait, he declared, jumping with excitement. Do I get the links or not? Erica asked, ignoring his comments. Her dismissal of his threats and the fact that he couldn't take the actions he was thinking of only infuriated him more. Just give the girl the links, TJ. Her ankles are already bleeding, and we may be walking for days. We need her healthy, or we'll have to carry her the whole way, Bishop told him. If you insist, Mr. Medic, Swenson acquiesced, turning away from Erica quickly. Bishop brought over 3 additional zip ties linked together. Before he approached to cut one of the links with his knife, he looked into her eyes. If you kick me or pull any more of your tricks, I'll let TJ take you down to 1 link. Deal? He asked her. Deal, she agreed, allowing him to approach without being attacked. He put the new links in between the old ones to lengthen her stride. Since Miss Whiny Girl got her links, we should be able to pick up the pace, TJ said, upset he was not able to continue his game with her. He snapped his whip viciously behind Erica, cracking the heels of her boots and the space next to her head. He drove the unit on at a vigorous pace. They reached the rest stop in little more than 15 minutes. The men sat down at a table with an old pole located nearby. Serge was going to chain her to it when Erica protested. I gotta go to the bathroom. Swenson looked at her. You've only had 16 ounces of fluid today, and we walked over 20 miles. There's no way you need to use the restroom. Startled by his attention to detail, Erica insisted again. I really do. Give me the chain, Swenson directed Serge. Once in hand, he pulled her into the restroom. The toilets hadn't worked in years, and people had defecated everywhere. Erica was almost sick at the smell. Swenson locked the chain to the old stall wall that remained. Then he told her, turn around. Swenson cut the zip tie on her hands and stood back away from her with his whip ready in hand. Go, Swenson told her. Aren't you going to turn around, she asked. Nope, he replied. Go. Erica was utterly humiliated as she pulled down her pants and underwear in front of the strange man. He smiled as he watched her relieve herself. Pull your pants up and turn back around, he ordered. She complied. He re-zipped her hands and unhooked the chain from the door. They returned to the table where Bishop was making lunch. Erica's stomach rumbled as she smelt the delightful smell wafting through the air. Swenson watched her reaction. Smells good, doesn't it? He asked. Erica didn't answer. She didn't want to mess up a chance at getting some food. You already got a reward today, didn't you? Swenson asked her. Erica looked at him curiously. The extra links, he stated, kicking at her ankles. Looks like all your rewards are used up, he teased. Would you like to earn another one? She didn't answer, so he continued. Tell me, TJ, I promise to never run from you, he directed her. Erica just stared back at him. No? Then no food, he said, hooking her to a pole. Erica watched them eat their lunch. Her mouth watered, and her stomach felt like it was turning inside out. After they were done, they set off again. They walked for miles that day, through the strange haze that the world became. When Erica's feet couldn't carry her any farther, Serge did. The giant of a man hoisted her like a twig on his shoulder and covered ground quickly, even with her weight. As Erica's survival story unfolds, she tries to navigate the situation that she finds herself in. And here today to discuss some of his survival stories is Ron Foster. Ron Foster is the Southern Prepper fiction author. He has shared his vast knowledge in a large library of books about survival and preparedness, both fiction and nonfiction. He's best known for his Southern Prepper fiction, a term that he coined. Even his prepper fiction books are loaded with survival and self-sufficiency techniques that one can learn from. Ron Foster's knowledge in his field is extensive and has well prepared him for writing about survival in a post-apocalyptic world where society has broken down. He has had many competencies in his background, including being a gemologist, diamond and colored stone appraiser, an investment banker, an Army soldier, and an Air Force airman. Other skills landed him as a corporate administrator and entrepreneur in many different capacities. Ron has also received a Bachelor's of Science degree from Empire State College in Human Services with a specialty in Emergency Management Administration and Planning at the age of 50. He has a Master's of Administrative Science MAS degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University with 7 graduate certificates. Certifications include Alabama Emergency Managers Association, Certified Emergency Manager, National Association of Safety Professionals, Certified Emergency Manager Specialist, FEMA Professional Development Certificate Series awarded. Graduate certificates in Administrative Science, Emergency Management Administration, Global Security, and Terrorism Studies Certificate, Displaced Persons Certificate, School Security and Safety Administration Certificate, Law and Public Safety Administration, and Nonprofit Organization and Management. He also holds a Master's of Science degree from Capella University in Human Services. Read one book written by Ron Foster, and you'll want to read more. You'll be sure to enjoy, and you'll have a few tricks up your sleeve when you're done. Tricks that could save your life. If you would like to find out more about Ron and all his great books, head on over to ronfoster.webs.com. That's ronfoster.webs.com. So let's go ahead and welcome Ron to the show. Today, I am super excited to have a brand new guest on our show, author Ron Foster. And you know, Ron, I'm just going to give the mic over to you, let you introduce yourself to the audience. And you got an event coming up real quick, so you can go ahead and let everybody know what's happening there as well.
Well, thanks for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. Been looking forward to this. Yeah, I'm like one of the original prepper fiction authors out here. When I started out, there was like 3 of us on Amazon, etc. And then before that, I put a book out in 2003 called The Rural Ranger, which was basically a survival guide of the stuff that I've learned growing up in the South. And speaking of the South, we're going to have a big event down here for apocalyptic authors, preppers, or just people who want to camp out and go fishing, do whatever. And we're going to an island where the movie Big Fish was filmed at. And they left an old movie set down there. And since we got all these apocalyptic authors, you know, we got our own ghost town or whatever you want to call it.
That's awesome.
Inspired with, yeah. And there's giant catfish out there, and there's one way in, one way out. Currently, right now, that causeway is underwater, which is basis of a book in itself, you know. So I'm going to try to think about all of us getting stranded out there together and how we're going to act and interact with each other.
There you go. What would you be eating too? Wild fish galore, right?
Yeah, but they got wild goats on that island. So that's the guy that owns the island is the former mayor of Montgomery, Bobby Bright, and everybody loves all them wild goats. But I think if the apocalypse hit, he'd have something to say about us wanting to eat them.
Fair enough.
Me trying to convert everybody to, I don't know, anybody on that island probably know how to make goat cheese or anything else. We just be eyeing them as, you know, dinner or something. So we got to say, hey, you can't eat that goat because of this or that reason. Kind of an interesting mindset for the apocalypse.
Right? Yeah, I like that. So, Ron, when did you decide that you wanted to write? So what fueled your passion for writing in general?
Money,
yeah.
to be honest. But no, back in, well, I wrote one previous book for 2003. I was, you know, dealing with my job. I used to teach what I call consumer gemology. I teach people how to identify stones using common things, gemstones and whatnot.
Okay.
But then the internet took on, and we could do stuff. And then I said, well, all these things I learned growing up as a kid, you know, preppers and survivalists, and I'd already been through YGK and everything. I said, people just don't know these things that, you know, country boys know. And let me write all these things down before I forget them. You know, so I did that in 2003, and then kept on working at it. And then when I was taking emergency management, I went to school late in life, got my bachelor's degree at 50. I saw that they weren't getting the message out to people properly, and nobody was prepping or doing whatever. And I was saying, okay, if you have nothing, how do you do this? So I started writing down what we did as kids and whatnot, and try to teach people a few things. And then I said, okay, for all you gun preppers out here, think about this type of thing, you know. So that's basically how I got started. And my books teach. And during that time, I was watching out for the Silver Storm, which the government told us 2 years after we missed it, and we had 2012 coming on. And right after one second after it came out, I think it was 2 weeks before my book come out, and I said, geez, I got zapped on that one, you know.
Yep.
But I taught everybody how to get out of the first book was Prepper's Road March, where I had myself as emergency manager going for a job interview in Atlanta and getting stuck 25 miles away from his bug out bag and having to, get back 180 miles to Montgomery. Basically, just using your wits and what you can find on the street.
Right. Yeah. Those are the fun stories too, because that's basically how my first one came about. Is I was, driving down to Sacramento State from the foothills, and I was like, what if something happens when I'm down here? And then what do I do? Like, that short drive home is not so short anymore. So those are fun stories to put together.
Yeah, a lot of people don't envision like 60 miles, I know that's an hour drive, but if you got to hoof it, how many days is it going to take,
Right? Exactly. How many miles can you walk possibly in one day? So, yeah. Once you get some conditioning going on, it shortens the time, but still, you got to get there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. So, too, like I put in my Prepper Road March book, the number of women's shoes that I saw on the road. And I told everybody, put sensible shoes in your car, because if it breaks down, you got to walk.
Yes. Yeah. That's a big point that I talk to women about, too, because I'm like, where are you going in those heels, There
you go. Do you have rain gear,
Yep.
If you have no rain gear, and it's pouring outside, how many miles you're going to make, or how you're going to protect yourself, or whatever, just basic stuff that people weren't really thinking of, and then I expanded a little bit in other books. I had some fun because a lot of my readers said I put in an ice machine, portable ice machine, and you can solar power those. You can run one off your car or whatever. And they said, I quit reading your book and started looking on Amazon, buying me a portable ice machine, because ice in the apocalypse is so cool,
Oh, yeah. Got to have your ice. I don't think I'd be worried about that as much, though. Do you plan out your books, or do you write them? Like, do you just let the story develop as you write it?
No, I just go ready, set, go. I'm interested to see what's happening as a reader. I don't know what's going to happen until the book's in. I'll think of stuff when I'm riding around that needs to go in there, but I basically don't know what's going to happen until I get there.
Yeah, that's me too. I'm definitely not a planner. I have like an idea of where I think I want it to go, and then the characters are like, oh, maybe not. We're not going there. We're going someplace else. So I love that kind of writing. You can look back and be like,
best way to do it to me. And these people that agonize over doing formats and this and that, and they just do it religiously. And I laugh at them. I don't know how they get anything done. Just write the book,
Yeah. And then they're like, well, I got writer's block. It's like, yeah, because you've been thinking about it too much. Just do it, man.
There you go.
So let's talk about your favorite book that you've written and kind of go through that book a little bit. So what would be your favorite book that you've written out of your, your collection?
Well, I combined the Prepper trilogy, which was Prepper's Road March, Bug Out, Prepper's on the Move, and The Light in the Lake, into one book called The Longest Walk. And that's what gave me my miles back in the day. A lot of those old prepper channels that, everybody started reading my book and all that, and that's when sales were good and pages. There wasn't too many other authors out there. And everybody was learning, and they were talking about, I give this book to people that don't want to prep. It makes them think to prep, and then they learn skills and whatnot. So, they're kind of the same way. If we teach one person something that makes them survive, then it was worth our time writing all these stories.
You got it. That's exactly it. That's what I did too. I was like, man, I got to open these people's eyes up to what the possibilities could be if your life was just like suddenly altered tomorrow.
Oh, sure, you can have all the preps in the world, but if you don't have the knowledge or the mindset, it doesn't do you any good. My famous quote that I'm known for is I say, prepare to lose everything but your mind.
Love it. Great quote. So, and the concept for your book, was it because you were originally driving to do those classes? Is that where you got fueled for the very first part of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's worried about the big city and how to get out, and EMP was basically unknown then to most people.
Okay.
Well, you know, when 1 second after I come out there, and I was bringing up the solar storm. You know, they didn't know that you don't need a nuclear bomb to wipe out something. Like, what do you do? And then a lot of people don't consider, too, when you're walking through a city, big city, it's just like a desert. There's no water. So I teach people how to find water in the city, just, you know, with what you got or what you can find around you.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
It's important. Food is the same way. I mean, you can't just walk around and wild forage in a city. I mean, you can find the stores of where, you know, not necessarily a store, but like a stock of where it is, somebody's house.
Well, I had fun with that one. Yeah. It was like right at the moment that it hit. So my character and his friend, which is named Dump Truck, by the way, he went out with the bar bouncer. That's a good name for a bar bouncer's dump truck.
There you go.
And they went over to one of these little stores you find in the middle of Atlanta, and they said, okay, let me load up on what I can get. And they got them a painter's tarp and made them a pack. And then before they started walking out there, and then the guy said, his friend said, look, all these people left this food sitting on the table. Go over here and eat somebody's leftover steak or something, because we got a long walk ahead of us. And the guy's going, ooh, but then he started thinking, I said, yeah, that's a good idea, you know, while it's fresh. So little stuff that nobody thinks of, you know?
Yeah. To save your stuff that's canned and whatnot for later if you can get the fresh stuff first.
There you go. Yeah, it's like, well, in the military, that you're always supposed to escape while you have your strength, etc. Keep your strength up. And if you're going to do something, do it in the beginning of the disaster or the escape or whatever, instead of waiting until the end and plotting and scheming where you lose all your strength and your mental facilities, etc.
That makes sense. So who is your favorite character? So we've heard about Dump Truck, right? So who's your favorite character in it?
David is the hero. A lot of people say, well, I write myself in the books.
Uh-huh.
And basically what I do or how I do it or whatever. And see, everybody gets a chance in the book to always come up with something brilliant, all the characters, etc. You know, they always come up with their own brilliant things and steer themselves to people. But he's always got the ace up his sleeve or something, a little extra trick that nobody thought of.
Nice. Yeah, the little MacGyver move.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you base your main character on yourself, which I do too. It's kind of like a fictional representation, right? So, you know, she's cooler than I am probably. But how about your other characters? Where do you come up with ideas for your other characters?
I always warn people, you know, talking around me, you know, they might end up in a book, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd choose that, or I need some weird Southern names. I got a barbecue joint down here in South Alabama, and I go in there and I can find out who's great granddad or something like that, or hear some stories and throw some names in there. I always teach a little history and get a little Southern about it. And I call it Southern prepper fiction, coin the word, you know, because that's what it's about. You know, that's what we're doing it in the deep South.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I kind of write that way. It drives the grammar Nazis crazy, and they drive me crazy. But, you know, I write in Southern, too, as well as I speak, you know.
Yep. Yeah, and then they're trying to pick it apart, and you're like, yeah, nope, that's how it is. That's how it would really be said, so that's how it is.
There you go.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I get up against some of that, too. But, you know, as long as you're keeping it, like, in their quotes, then they tend to back off a little bit, which is nice. It's like, okay, guys.
Well, I mean, people, if you got to do it grammatically correct, it takes it out of context or the emotions that people do, or you hear somebody say it down here. I mean, you got to be. I even wrote a book one time called The Work of the Dead, that I said, I'm going to get as Southern as possible in here, and I'm going to explain Southern phrases,
Nice.
you know, in that, and I broke it down. I put every single weird Southern euphemism I could think of in that thing.
I think you were probably doing that just to piss off those grammar Nazis.
Yeah, I did that, but a lot of them are funny.
Yeah,
you know?
fair enough.
Or you have to understand what it means, you know.
Yeah.
Like, somebody, a woman says, bless their heart. It can be an insult, but they do it so slick.
Yeah, right. Oh, bless their heart. They're just such a stupid moron, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend that was from the South, and he starts telling me a story, and he's like, me and Puddin', we're going down fishing. I'm like, oh, hold on. Stop the story. Like, Puddin', his name was literally Puddin'. He's like, yep, me and Puddin'. I'm like, okay, continue. I couldn't even get past the name that he's whipping out first. I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Oh, yeah, you can get nicknames put on you down here, really. He's like, Dump Truck was actually a real character. I owned a bar at one time. That was my bouncer. And he got put in prison for stealing a dump truck. Well, I'm spoiling the story, but...
So then he got the
always said,
dump truck.
Yeah, but he looked like a tree stump, with big old prison arms, and he said, I use my dump truck to take trash out,
Nice. So, your locations, obviously you're placing it in real places. You're basing it on the South and the city down there.
Yeah, I go everywhere with it. I tend to gravitate from, I did Georgia for a while, but I stay in Alabama. I go over to Florida a lot. My favorite thing right now is I'm going to Florida, especially now that I'm older. I said, hey, if the food hits the fan, I'm going to go be a beach bum.
Right.
Because there's more food down there. It's easier. And if I got to retire, I'm going to look forward to this, instead of dreading it.
Yep.
And I'd much rather eat crabs and oysters and this and that than a possum or a raccoon or something,
Fair enough. I'll buy that. Yeah, you'd be tough pressed in my books, though, because I have the ocean level rise. So, Florida's not much of Florida left down there anymore.
Well, I've heard different versions of what's going to go on with that. But also, I write a whole bunch of books on bug out boats and things of this nature.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
And so I got that in mind also. A lot of people don't realize, if you live in a city and all the roads are clogged, there's always rivers coming through there. You can get out of the city on, with that water highway underneath you. You got your food, you got your water underneath you, and you can carry more weight. It just makes a lot of sense.
Before they had trucks and gasoline, that was the biggest way to transport goods was up and down the rivers. So
yeah, so we get out there. If you got nothing but a kayak, you can do it that way. But I had the coolest boat that's ever happened for preppers. It's called a tetrapod. It looks like an ammunition carrier for a Jeep or something, but it's actually a John boat that folds in half. So you can carry all your junk inside of it, and you can fold it out, and now you got a boat. And I solar powered that.
Sweet.
And then in the book I took it down from Georgia all the way down to Florida and whatnot, and just floated down the river.
That's cool. I have a place in my book that I'm writing right now where I could actually use something like that, because I was like, what are they gonna do? I'll have a blow up dinghy at the bottom, go across. And then
I got blow up dinghies. Yeah, we're giving away one at Spectre, by the way.
Okay.
Seagull's a great sponsor of mine. Yeah, they gave me a kayak before for a book. Most everything in my book, people complain about my commercials, but I get a sponsor to give me a product, and I wrote post-apocalyptic characters using it in there, and then I'm trying it out myself. Then I put an ad in it. I do a lot of that sort of thing. Seagull's been my best one, and so everybody's going to get to try this thing out. We got a free raffle down there. They get to come down and try it out Friday, and Saturday evening I'm going to give it away, and
cool.
Then there's all day Sunday when the camp out breaks up. Hopefully they get a giant catfish.
Yeah, on it. That'd be great. Great picture for them too, right?
Yeah, I want to see them go skiing with the thing, because they got some huge ones down there.
Nice. Yeah, pulling them down across the lake. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
So you said this book, The Longest Walk, is the Prepper trilogy all just combined into one. So you just have the one book for this trilogy. What other books do you have out there?
I've got 62 books out there, so I can
You got
talk
a
to
ton. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
But
writing.
for this series, is The Longest Walk just the one? Now they're all three in one.
Yeah, there's 3 in 1, plus there's one novelette in there. I got a character that everybody loved, my Brit, that he got stuck in Atlanta. He was on what they call holiday, right?
Yep.
And he meets everybody out there, and they end up hooking back up. And what he went through from, like to go to England, he's never going home, right? And he's stuck here. And all these guys, this little picnic basket that he makes his tea and whatnot in. I got like 10,000 uses for that thing.
Nice. Cool. So, everybody loved him so much they wanted you to do a breakaway story on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I have a couple.
Over there.
I have a couple of characters like that people have been asking about, so I've been trying to highlight them a little bit more, things like that.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting when we start, writing in another language, like if you're going to write it in Brit for your narrator,
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
it takes some practice. And I had a hell of a guy that narrated for me until he got famous in Hollywood, but he get the Brit accent going down just perfect and switch back and forth between the voices and all that sort of thing. So when I get to listen to him do it, the story comes alive for me again, even though I wrote the thing.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I like rereading my stories a bunch because you're like, I can't even remember. I forgot that even happened, So I know what you're trying to teach through your books, which I really, really commend because I think that's just the awesomest way to learn education through fiction. I think it sits better in the brain than just reading, stereo instructions. So what?
Oh yeah, if they read a dry survival book, they get stuck and they forget, but they can remember this character did this, this situation, this character did that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love to learn in fiction, and I do a lot of that myself when I'm reading personally. So what do you hope that readers take away from your books? Like what?
Any one of my books, every other chapter you're gonna learn something new, and I haven't repeated a trick once, I think, in 62 of them. I'm running out of them though.
Well, you've written enough books to be running out of them.
Yeah, I just wrote the Old Fart Survival Guide, over 550 pages. I kind of put everything in that one, which is nonfiction and whatnot. How older generation, we got to look at things differently, but it's good for the younger preppers too, because if you can do stuff easier, less stress, less physical activity and whatnot, you're going to be a better survivor anyway.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one a little bit, because I have a like in my martial arts and when I'm learning self-defense, I always try to think about teaching it to an older person that might not have the physical strength anymore, the bone density anymore, stuff like that, like little tricks that I can teach to older folks that can help them survive the day, yet not get injured in the process. You know what I'm saying? So,
that Southern saying about don't mess with old man because they'll kill you, down here because they don't hold back that thing. But, you learn. But basically, I'm going to teach you how to bug in or anything else. The number one survivor you're going to see, and they say 90% everybody's going to be dead, EMP, that's crazy, that's stupid. But if you get a 13-year-old kid that's used to wandering around the back pasture with his buddy every day with a BB gun and whatnot, he can outlast an airborne ranger any day because he knows where the thing, all the best games at, best fishing holes at, the stuff that they do. So I'm like, get you a BB gun.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And put the bird feeder out there. Learn how to eat Chinese. You got rice stored, little bits of bird. Eat Chinese, you're going to be eating good.
Yep, absolutely.
And the old people can do that, and then everybody out here, you got ARs and this and that, you're going crazy killing each other. I'm eating. Y'all can kill each other.
Fair enough. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I get picked on because I love my little 22s. You know, I got a 10-22 Ruger. And I'm like, man, you guys can go ahead and like get in your gunfights and everything. I'm just gonna be backwoods. I'll be eating my squirrel and my little rodents and stuff, and I'll be eating. But you know, I don't plan on any gunfight you're not in is one you're gonna walk away from. So you know.
Oh yeah. Our end of the line is my latest fiction book out, and my person carries Henry's lever action 22, and I like those because when I was a kid growing up, we used to get the shorts. You know, they were 50 cents a box versus $1 a box for the long rifles. But shorts, they don't make any noise hardly.
Yes.
Perfect thing, and they're, you know, don't spill fur, don't mess up the meat as bad. I like it for that, you know. So I got my hero carrying a lever action 22. And I'm good with the thing. I can bust an aspirin with that thing, you know, about 20 yards. So.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I can hit everything just fine. I don't understand why I need a bigger bullet to do it with. You know, it's just going to make it heavier and more expensive for me to carry.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the BB guns and the pellet guns and whatnot, too. The air rifles for preppers make total sense.
Yeah.
But if you can get out there, you can practice. And in a lot of areas, you can practice in the backyard, you know, with these things. The more you can practice, the better off you are. And you're not going to draw attention to yourself or the local law on you or anything like that. So I think everybody ought to go get them one. That's the only thing I know that you can spend $100. I mean, if you just get the basic, a Daisy 880 or a Crossman, I can feed a family for a year on $100 with that pellet gun and ammo I can buy from Walmart. I can't think of any other prep out there that we can do that with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. It's so true. We have woodpeckers out here. You know, they're endangered. They're real endangered around my house. And they're actually really big, pretty big birds as far as it goes. I mean, you can get some meat off
I hate them suckers when they, you can. I hate them suckers when they decide a piece of metal is whatever. Like, you can't put a hole in it, you know?
Oh.
Sound like a jackhammer.
Well, I'm in a log cabin. So,
well, good. Well, if you don't have a tin roof on that thing, you are lucky.
Oh, no, man. They go through all the caulk lines down the side, right? Just and just pack the whole thing full of acorns, those little... I have some not nice words for them.
But I mean, like choosing what you're going to eat, like when people say eat crow or something like that, it comes off of knowing what different birds taste like. Now, like you don't want to eat a seabird, or you got to skin a seabird because it tastes like fish.
Oh, fair enough. Yep.
So you got to kind of know which ones you're going after, whether they're a plant eater or a meat eater or whatever. They taste different. I haven't tried a woodpecker yet. You know, I can't tell you about that one, but I've tried most everything else.
I know they don't actually eat the acorns themselves. They eat like the little larvae that grow in the acorns once it's, you know.
Yeah, they're a meat eater. Yeah.
Yep. So
I'll have to send you a picture. I got what I call woodpecker condos going on. We got pine beetles down here, and I got like big dead pines sitting out in the woods at the moment. There's got to be, 100 or so woodpecker holes where they've been testing and living in there, all up and down woodpecker condos.
Yep. Yeah, that's we just had to have all of our light poles replaced, our electricity poles replaced, because the woodpeckers just fill them up full of holes. So it's just like...
Well, they have little bitty holes they do all the time, but I'm talking about them big old holes where you know they've been...
Oh, yeah, actually burrowing in. Yep, fair enough. Yep, where they actually live. Oh. Okay, so let's go into some of your thoughts on prepping. Do you have a favorite prepper author that you like to read? Or do you even get time
to read? No, I don't really get time to read. I mean, I'll read somebody else's stuff. I like Shit Hit the Fan Plan. That's the guy, Spearco, that was in the Balkans.
Yep.
You know, where the city's surrounded, it's an actual city surrounded by two armies, and then you got racial cleansing going on, and how he got by for a year. I look at that because that's real world stuff that a lot of people don't even think about, because we haven't had an extended grid down situation to really study. Like I said, my background, I got a ton of emergency management, et cetera, and I've studied all these different scenarios all over the world so I can respond to them. But like Argentina with the collapse and whatnot, you can actually learn real life lessons, what works, what doesn't work. It's not the fantasy of the preppers going on, and these are slower going down things.
Yeah, he's super interesting to listen to as well, like just the stories that he has. And that's what really made me queue up to the fact of like, yeah, good luck trying to wild forage in the city. It doesn't do you any good when you're there. I mean, you got to find someplace else to get food.
Well, I can do it. I just told you how to do it right then. They go get you 6 foot blocks over there at Tractor Supply, cost you $6, and you got your BB gun.
Yeah, fair enough.
And there's more. And in my book, Rural Ranger, come out with 2003. There's more game in the city than there are in the woods because it's easier for the animal to live.
How fast would you think you'd run through them though, with everybody going after them?
Well, the cats and dogs going to be misperceived.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. What's going to happen to people is as soon as the water shuts off, you're going to have a big migration to the water.
Oh, that's true.
So they're leaving, and I'm staying.
Yeah.
So I get whatever you left. And if you don't know that there's water in your hot water here, a lot of people don't even know the basics. I've done this with Florida. I know how to desalinate water. How about all those tourists down there that don't? So I got the whole coast to myself because I can get water.
Fair enough. Yep. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always like, man, I'm just not. I'm not a city girl now. Like, I wouldn't want to be in a city now, let alone then. So.
Oh no, I don't want any parts of the city, but I'm gonna sit there and bug in and wait because I'm waiting for that mass migration going on. I don't want to be caught at the watering hole where all the predators are waiting on you coming in because that's where everybody's going.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there'd be a lot of predators there.
Yeah, but I mean, they have to. Either you can produce water, have water, or you die. So they're going to use their last gallon of gas to get to whatever water feature they know was there.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny how fast your body starts mentally breaking down when you don't have your access to your water, and that will start messing with people as well. So you're right. They do anything they could to get to it.
Sure. And then so we're sitting back and, we're collecting water. We got water stored. You can make a water still, through transpiration. I can pretty much get water wherever I want,
Yep. Yeah, and then if they don't know, they're just going down to the river, drinking it, and, that's not going to do good things for them as well. So they've got to...
Yeah, but those fools on the corner that I was worried about going to leave the neighborhood,
Right.
Be killing each other over the bottled water in the stores or whatever, Yeah,
it's true.
And I'm happily, shooting my birds in my backyard and whatnot, and I got a whole bunch of things. I did the possum prepper guide. I did the, prepper's guide, the long-term living, et cetera. And I just tell you basic things that you can do in your own backyard, backyard survival is to me, if you don't know that, one of my quotes is, if you don't know how to catch a bird, you're going to be reduced to eating what birds eat, which is grubs and worms.
Uh-huh.
So I teach you how to catch birds and whatnot, basic stuff you'll have around the house.
So how about a favorite TV series or a movie? So what's your favorite, like, post-apocalyptic movie that you've seen?
Well, I used to like The Colony on Nat Geo. That was really good. I don't know if you saw that. I loved that show because they actually did stuff. They
Colony,
had
the one where
gasifiers.
they actually put the people in the scenario, right? Not the TV show that came out later.
Right. Yeah. They used the Katrina thing, and then they had the group walk in, and they started from nothing, and they, like, you turn a weed eater into a generator and collect. Use cooking oil to run diesel and all that sort of thing. That was a great show.
That's funny because I was just talking about that with Dale and Lisa, how much I loved that show. And then the one people that were like really, really struggling, and then there was the Navy SEAL that was like sitting outside of their camp for like a week or whatever, and he's got like the full spread of food. He's like, yeah, I killed all this right around you guys. Like, it's all right there. I love that.
Yeah. Well, that'd be me. I'm not a Navy SEAL, but
Yeah.
I didn't get my full flash on my beret like Johnny Jacks did, but I wasn't. I talked to him too. He's from Alabama,
Yeah, I love
but
Johnny.
I was in that unit, and yeah, I was half flash. I did that after I did field artillery. Every time I got unemployed, I get me a new MLS in the National Guard. I didn't do everything.
There you go.
But yeah, go to survival school. Hell yeah, and send me off for a few months, and then I come back and start again civilian. But I didn't know I'd use all this later too, And then we were kids. I mean, we built forts out in the woods, and we did all this stuff.
Yeah, us too. That's why I value the country living. Raising my sons and stuff out here, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, there's not enough kids for your kids to play with and everything." I'm like, they go to school, they're fine. They go out in the woods. They know how to hike. They know how to wild forage. They know how to shoot. I mean, I wouldn't choose to raise them any other way, So I don't know.
Oh yeah, I was updating myself on new ways of catfish and all this and that. There's a channel out there he also does what he calls Outdoor Boys on YouTube, and like those kids are blessed. He's starting out like 3 years old. They're holding fish and starting fires and doing all kind of stuff. I mean, I said, what a great life!
Yeah, exactly. That was my son. We're out on the beach and he goes down and starts his own fire. I'm like, with the flint rod and the magnesium. I'm like, yes, perfect. They're gonna be able to survive. And that's the best I can hope for, is to give them enough skills that if something were to happen to me, they could go on. That'd be my dream.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just learning how to walk through the woods without getting snake bit or messing up your buddy or doing anything like that. Just to be out there,
Being quiet enough that you can experience the wildlife and stuff like that instead of tromping through, yapping your yapper, So.
Oh yeah, I tell everybody in my books, like I said, the only animal that makes noise in the woods is man. Like like I'm teaching in rural range, I said, you don't go busting off walking through the woods and this and that. You got to be like the animal. You walk a little bit, you pause, you look, you listen, and you walk a little bit more. Otherwise, it's a man, because we're the only one going in one direction nonstop.
Yep. Yeah. Tromp, 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 tromp. Yep. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So, Ron, if you had to leave your house with only one item, and it's not a person, what would it be?
I saw that question. I hate those conflicted things.
I love these questions because it makes it come down to like one thing. And then I'm always curious because like everybody.
Well, I want to say my bug out bag, but I can't have that, obviously, right?
Well, so, I don't know. Well, you'd only have the bag then.
Well, no. Okay. Well, no, I'm back to my Henry 22.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you need to take into account all the stuff I always carry in my pocket CDC anyway. I got my knife and my fire starter, my kitchen kit, and all that crap on me.
Yep. Yeah,
I would say that normally my favorite survival tool is a poncho. Number one survival thing that you got to have is a poncho.
Yeah, I agree.
But I figure I can find something out there. If I got my gun, and I got my food, and my way of protecting myself or stealing if I have to, yada yada.
True. Yeah, I learned a lot of hand-to-hand stuff, but you don't always rather be able to take them out from a distance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, I like my cheat like hell. Hand-to-hand, as you get older, you learn a few things. It's like people are stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to play by the rules.
You can set them up. You say, you point an ashtray on the bar. Say, you see the crack in this thing, and they'll be studying it, and then you feed them the ashtray while they're looking,
Yep. Fair enough. It's true. So, what do you think is the most important skill that you can learn now that would pay off later?
That's tough. Well, I mean, it's your mindset. How are you going to just accept the psychology of a disaster? Is if you don't accept that things have changed or things are going to be bad or people are going to get crazy or all that. I mean, it's learn how to accept your situation at any given time. The grin and bear it type stuff. Oh, okay, I can get through this, and just go with the flow. Skill wise, you got to know how to get game. I tell everybody for $1, all this money that y'all spending out here on preps and whatnot, and you haven't, spent money on knowledge, like buy a book, buy one of our books. Our books
Right.
teach. You don't even have to buy survival books. But, those big boxes that you go into, and then you can buy any tool for $1 or $2 or whatever, and screwdrivers and X-Acto knife, all that stuff's out there. If you go spend the money on a pair of wire strippers, now, when the grid goes down, all those electrical cords are no good.
Yep.
And now we got snares.
Yep.
Now I can feed myself. So for $1, that's my best prep I can get. So I'll leave the audience with that one.
Love that one. Love that one. Cordage everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's a great one. Well, Ron, it has.
And you gotta know what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know how to do the snare, but it's all there. And I didn't even think about that one. I love it. That's a mind blower for the end. So awesome. And I loved having you on the show today. We're definitely going to have you back on when we have some good topics come up, and so we can pick your brain further as to all your skill base that you have swirling around in there.
Well, I certainly enjoyed it. I would look forward to it. Yeah, get a couple people on, and we'll just have us a big old chat going at it or something. One of the things I'm going to do with this Spectre Island thing that we're going out to is teach people how to catch a fish on a twig. And I think that's the best survival skill you can learn because, remember and I wrote for prepper.org, my article's up over there, but you remember that plane went down the Andes, and they were right next to a river full of fish and whatnot, and they ended up eating each other. Didn't know how to cannibalize planes.
Yeah. Alive.
But I mean, all you got to do is, if you sharpen a stick on each end, tie a line in the middle of stuff that been down a grasshopper, worm, whatever, you can catch a fish on a twig.
Yep.
So that feeds you anywhere next to a body of water, and you don't need hooks and all that other stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and you don't have to resort to other methods of obtaining food, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I know I got to get more into that. We don't have, we have some massive rivers around here. But man, I'm just fishing in California has always been very daunting for me. And then if you go down to where like the salmon are running and stuff, there's like 150 people out there all along the shoreline. Everybody's lines are getting crossed. It's chaos. You're just like, really? No, I'm not doing that. So I'll have to go up into a desolation wilderness and find some better holes up there to get my game on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of ways of fishing. And, there's fishing and there's catching, as we say, right?
Yep.
If you don't get out and practice, it's just like gardening.
Yep.
You got to have your hand on it every once in a while and think fishing or gardening or whatever. Get out there and practice your skills a little bit, and you can have an enjoyable day doing it.
Yeah, that's the type of days I look forward to,
But I'll tell you how to do it. Like if you got a kid that doesn't have the patience, young kid,
Uh-huh.
it's the cheapest can of cat food you can find, right?
Right.
Poke holes in it, put it in there the day before you go fishing, and tell them all these long stories about, the moon's got to be right and all this and that, and mess with them until they're like 16, because the fishing hole only works when you do that, right?
Uh-huh.
So this time when I got all these people coming down to Spectre Island, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get me one of these big, what they call a poultry block, full of seeds and all this and that. It's about 15 pounds. I'm going to throw it out there. Yeah, I'm going to let people start catching fish in my special fishing hole when I teach them how to catch a fish on a twig.
Nice. That's a great idea.
Yes. So everybody get a chance to say, hey, it works. And I said, well, it works when you cheat like hell, but, it's the concept,
Yep. That's a great idea, though. When you first get to your camp spot, you could throw something like that out, and then boom, you're catching them like crazy after that. That's a great idea. Yep, we're definitely going to have you back on because I could do a lot of brain picking. I love it. So
look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
All the best.
Alrighty, Ron, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing all of your great work that you do, as well as some really awesome tips with us. Hope you guys were checking that out because lots of good information there. Thank you to all of my supporters. You guys are what makes the Changing Earth podcast go round, and your support is definitely needed and appreciated. If you would like to become a supporter, head on over to www.authorSarahFhathaway.com/support. That's www.authorSarahFhathaway.com/support. Thank you very much for listening this week. Like I say, we're just getting into the goodies of the book, and we're just going to roll on up to the end, and then Endless Night will be coming out in about June, and I'm diligently putting the finishing touches on book 7 as well right now, so you guys have lots of great content to look forward to, and I just really appreciate your time that you spend with me. So until next time, remember, dream, survive, thrive.
Thank you for joining Sara for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, and Dark Days in Denver at www.authorSarahFhathaway.com. If you love Sara's books and this podcast, please head over to Amazon or iTunes and let everyone know by leaving a review.